Greetings. My name is Mike Graen. Welcome to another University of Arkansas Supply Chain Management Research Council. Today we are joined by Elena from Nedap. She is a operations manager director inside of Nedap. She spends a lot of time working with retailers on RFID implementations and is really successful at trying to explain some of the best practices to make RFID work inside a retail organization. Let's join our podcast in progress. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be this fine day. Today, it's 1 o'clock Central Time on Good Friday, and I've got the pleasure of having Elena from Nedap join us. We're laughing a little bit ago because I told her that we wanted to jump on the call about 15 minutes early, and I gave her a time of, why don't we go ahead and jump on at 12:45? And she said, why would I jump on an hour and 15 minutes early? I forgot she was on the East Coast. So, Elena, with Nedap, would you please unmute and just kind of introduce yourself to our audience?
So I've been with Nedap for just 4 years now, a couple weeks ago. I started here as the operations manager on the EAS side, and a couple of years ago took on the software side. So the inventory management group rolled under me. So I've been able to hit both sides of our house. So really exciting, and it's been really like the best place to work, I have to say. Really unusual place. So Nedap is a global company. We're headquartered out of the Netherlands, and we're a technology company with a few different business units that all focus on, we like to say, technology for life, making people's lives better. And like I said, I'm in the retail space. So for us, it's the EAS side as well as inventory management. And it's a really special company, really different organization than your typical US or North American company. So it's been a great experience, and I've really loved it.
So the company is located in the Netherlands. You're located on the East Coast, right? The Boston
area?
area?
Yeah, so we're global. So we have offices all over the globe. And I'm located in Boston, out of our Boston, U.S. headquarters, and we're located. The actual HQ is in the Netherlands. We actually just had the CEO here yesterday, and he was practicing with me how to say. I say Hunlo, but you're supposed to roll that GNR, and I'm very bad at it. But they're located a few hours from Amsterdam.
So did you learn how to do it? You want to give us a demonstration in front of everybody, and he'll probably see this podcast and see how well you learned.
My boss is probably like, "Come on, you can say it. It's Hunlo. You have to and I just can't do that throaty thing." But that's okay. They let me take a pass, and when I said, "Oh, I'm coming to Hunlo next week," and he was like, "Where?" And I'm like, "Oh, Hunlo," and he's like, "Ah." And then yesterday all day he was like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "Okay, let's try it again." So anyway, that's where I'm going.
He will greet you at the door and say, "Where are you now?"
Exactly. That's exactly what he'll do. Actually, he probably really will do that, which is another one of those things that makes it a really special company.
That's awesome. Awesome. That's terrific.
It's a great place.
That's right. Well, we make some fun of sometimes, and I know this is not part of the podcast, but people say you spend a third of your life sleeping, you spend a third of your life doing, spend time with family and friends, et cetera, and you spend a third of your time in your life working. And so I've spent a lot of time with people who are just miserable at their jobs, and I go, it's a third of your life. Go find something that you love to do and get somebody to pay for it. Well, I can't leave. Yeah, you can. Go figure out where you really feel like you're having a lot of fun, and then do that for work. I think it's a much more rewarding thing.
My father-in-law, my family owned, my husband's family, well, and mine, but my husband's family owned a business, a retail store, actually. And my father-in-law used to say to my kids, do something for money and you'll just never be happy. Find something you love and you will make money and you will be good at it and you will have happiness. And it really stuck with me because he worked until 6 months before he died at 86 years old because he truly loved what he did. And the thing
Absolutely.
about my coming to Nedap was obviously, I had 20 years or so, whatever, of a career before that, and never worked at any place that was awful, but just it was this place is different. It's a different culture. They talk about it. And when I interview people and I try, and I'm like bringing them on, they're like, well, tell me about the company. And I'm like, it's really special. It's a family. They
Mm.
care about you. We obviously care about making money, right? It's a company, but that's not the number one goal. And it truly is a place where can you can do what you love, and everybody's respected and everybody's equal. It's a really special organization that until you get here you don't get it, and then once you get here people look at me and go, oh, now I get it. And yeah, it's been a great 4 years, and people here have worked here for 25, 30, 40 years. It's just like,
Huh.
wait, what? But it's truly you love it. So it's a great organization.
Okay, for all of the attendees, go ahead and send your resume to www.nedap.com.
100%. Honestly, if you're looking for a great place to be, Nedap is it. So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
I love it. So I'm
Well,
obviously biased.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, let's go ahead and transition into our topic, and I really enjoy the topic of on-shelf availability. And the reason I like it is every one of us are an industry professional focused on-shelf availability. You happen to be part of a company that I think provides an incredible platform in software to be able to expose on hands and make sure people know what they have and know where it's located, et cetera. But here's always the other interesting thing. We all take our work hat off and we put our customer hat on and we go shopping, right?
You do.
And so one of the questions that I love to ask people, and I've done this for almost a year now, and it's just amazing some of the stories because nobody has a unique story like the person who was last time, which
Okay.
is tell me about a time where you as a customer, not as a business professional, as a customer, wanted to go and get a product that you thought they had in stock in store. You went to that store and you were disappointed. I'm sure you have one of those examples.
Well, yeah, like you said, I have many. I actually think this is really funny because this literally just happened. So, yes, I am a shopper, but so my husband retired a couple years ago, so he's officially become the shopper in our house. So basically, I'm like, today, can you go to the store? Can you go to the cleaners? Can you pick up this? Can you pick up that? And I
And by the way, be careful because I'm looking at the audience, and if your husband's name is Edward, he's stalking you at work. Just so you know.
he could be. He
is.
he is.
Oh, yeah.
So I said to him a couple weeks ago, I said, hey, can you do me a favor? I need you to go to this particular store. I've checked online. I need you to pick me up lip liner. And so for all of your listeners who aren't, wearing lip liner, it's a very important thing for some of us. So I said, can you do me a favor? Can you go? Can you pick it up? And he was like, oh, Lord, like, what am I getting? I said, I'm going to send you a picture. I'm going to send you the name. It's fine. I already checked. They've got it. Just buzz in. You'll just right there, pick it up. So he goes. They don't have it. He leaves, comes home. They don't have it. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay, fine. So a couple days later, I'm like, I'll look. So I go and they didn't have it again. So a couple days later, I said to him, hey, can you do me a favor? I looked, I swear, other store, they have it. Just go, please. I know they have it. Okay. He goes in, they don't have it. He says to the sales associate, this is the second time in here. Do you have this? And she's like, no, we're out of stock. Sorry. And he's like, okay. And she's like, well, you can buy this. It's the same. So he buys it. He brings it home. I come home from work. It's sitting on the table. I said, what is this? He said, that's the stuff you asked for. They didn't have the one you wanted, but the lady says that's the same. I said, okay, two things. Number one, no, this is not the same. And two, like now I'm totally irritated. Like it's been 3 trips and I'm just going to go online and have it shipped and it'll be here when it gets here. And so that was my little frustrating thing. And he was funny because he's like, do they not have the thing that you do? Like, why is it that I'm like, I'm like, yes, that is a very good, I need to call this retailer. Actually, I need one of our salespeople to call this retailer because Ned doesn't want to go through this ever again. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
very important.
And by the way, we use that example oftentimes as a real good example, whether it's printer cartridges from your printer or hair color. I've got a specific hair color I'm looking for, or lipstick and
Yep,
cosmetics. Cosmetics is a huge opportunity. They're a little bit more difficult to tag, but we'll
it's
get into some of that
yeah,
later. But bottom line is that's an industry that screams for on-hand accuracy and making sure you got the product available for a customer, because customers won't switch. I mean, you're a good example. What is this? This is not what I asked for. Go bring it
it's the
back.
same. And I'm like, it is just no, you just don't get it. This isn't the same. And yeah, and I'm sure the salesperson was like, here, just buy this and go away. And he was more than happy to go away, let me tell you. But but honestly, like I was annoyed. I was really annoyed. But you're right, it's a really difficult industry, but one that could use some help.
Yeah. Ghost inventory about lipsticks, I'm sure, is a very big problem. Yeah, for sure.
Uh,
All right. Well, that's a good example. Well, that's a good segue into, okay, why should that particular retailer implement RFID and specifically the Nedap solution? Because I think you guys tell us a little bit about Nedap and tell us kind of what kind of services you provide to the industry.
So, particularly on the SaaS solution, so inventory management, really giving the retailer as well as the customer, right? Because when you're giving the retailer visibility into their entire ecosystem, right, you're giving that to the customer as well. So, our solution allows a retailer to understand where within the ecosystem product is, so that they have the right stock at the right time. It doesn't help anybody to have, 100 bathing suits sitting in the back room in January, taking up space, right? Like you don't need that right now. It's January. Like, where are our coats? Like, and do we have the right product available at the right time? So our solution allows for that. Our solution also, I think one of the things that makes our solution really special is the interface, is the ease of use. It's an easy solution for the store associates. That tends to be a lot of the feedback that we get from the folks, actually using the product day to day. So forget leadership, forget stakeholders, just the folks at the store level. And a lot of times, I'm not the person that obviously goes into the store, it's the sales folks, but they'll come back and they'll tell stories of how the salespeople were like, can we keep this? We don't have to give it back today, do we? Like, wait, no, when are we getting it? Because it makes life really easy. And anybody who's ever, I'm probably very much dating myself, but those physical inventories where I worked at this store. It was called Cherry Web and Terrain when I was probably like 20. And they would talk about how amazing and fun the inventory was. And you were like going to be in the store
Yeah.
all night and it'd be super cool. And we're going to order pizza. Well, by 1 a.m, you're like, this is not cool. This is not fun. And I'm sick of counting these stupid t-shirts.
Yeah.
So our product is just changes that whole landscape, makes it easier for everybody.
Yeah. Every time I've been involved with that, I've just about finished that one rack or that one set of shelves, and somebody says, "Excuse me, I have a question," and I answer
Yeah.
the question. I come back and, "Oh no, where was I? Oh my gosh, I got to start all over again." So
Yeah, it's
I
just
learned to
not.
I learned to put a card in between. Okay, hang on one second. I'll put a card there now. What's your question? Now I come back because I didn't want to ever do that again. But
Yeah, and
yeah,
don't touch this whole, like, don't, no, you can't buy it, you can't touch it. Just don't breathe. Don't
aren't you a
breathe till
store?
I'm done counting.
Aren't you a store? And aren't I supposed to buy stuff here? No,
Not
no, just go
today.
away. Well, that's why we'll get into some of the best practices, because that's really what I want to spend some time talking to you. But because there's, RFID in retail has been around for a while. It's been a great
Right.
solution, a huge enabler in terms of letting people know exactly what they have and exactly where it's located, whether it's in the back room or sales floor. But the big part of this, from my perspective, is, okay, well, how do you use this thing, and what are the things that you really want to watch out for? As I engage with retailers, that, well, you've been doing this for 20 years. Come tell us how to do it. I said, I'm not going to tell you how to do it necessarily, but I'm going to tell you the 15 potholes that I have stepped in the past that you don't want to step in again. Because that, I think, is sometimes helpful. But we'll get into some of that here in a little bit. So tell us a little bit about RFID in retail. Obviously, the one retailer who had your lipstick definitely needs to adopt it. But who are the retailers that are really taking advantage of this that from you guys' perspective, and where do you see some of the growth coming from?
So, the retailers who are we do have a number of fashion retailers that we work with that are using our solution. I'm sitting over here going like, can I name drop? I'm not 100% sure.
Let's not, just to be
Let's
safe.
not. Yeah, I agree.
But the type of I'm thinking more of the type of retailers. Is it apparel? Is it automotive? Where are you seeing the adoption curve kind of heading?
Yeah, so it's for us, it's really fashion. It's really the apparel industry that's taken advantage of it, and it's probably where there's a tremendous amount of opportunity. Not just so it's about there's just so much data, right? I think that data has become like the hot word of like the last probably 5 years. Like, okay, you're collecting all this data. What are you going to do with it? And that is RFID, right? It's allowing you to know where within your ecosystem that particular item has been, and that's an incredible like that gives a million use cases. So for us, it's now beyond just a physical count, being able to count what you've got in the store. So that was the great thing. That was like the amazing, moment. Like, okay, it's gonna save our sales associates a tremendous amount of time. It's gonna give us visibility into what we have so that our customers come in. But like, what are the next steps that we can do that? Can we with refilling from the stock room to the floor, refilling from off-site to the store to the back room. The whole DC supply chain is probably the next huge horizon of how this can really help folks in the next probably, I don't know, couple of years. So that's definitely where it's going, along with just, again, like there's just so many use cases. Did we ever have this item in our ecosystem? People come and, a lot of retailers have this easy return policy, right? Hey, just show up. It's okay if you don't have a receipt kind of deal. Well, there's a lot of, bad actors out there, and RFID and that data enable you to say, I'm sorry, but I don't think this was ever sold in our store, because it wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Or at least, could you show me your receipt? Well, I don't have one. Well, I'm sorry.
Exactly.
9 times out of 10, you'd be happy to take that back without a receipt. For you, it's no, we really need the receipt. Sorry about that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there's a watch out from accusing customers of doing something you can't necessarily prove. Just saying, I really need to have the receipt before you do that. And so,
Yep.
And there have been situations where I have literally seen people take product out the back of the store, walk around the store, come back in and go, I'm returning this. And they try and get away with it for sure. It does happen, right?
Oh, it's amazing. It's quite amazing, quite brazen, but it happens. And, if you're the retailer, you just, like I said, like our family had a retail store, and it was always like, pretty much always my husband, my father-in-law would just say, you know what, take it back. Take it back. Mm-hmm. It's not worth it. Take it back. I know we don't sell it. I know we probably have never sold it. And there was no RFID, right? There was none of that. But it was good business. It was good practice, because at the end of the day, you don't know. That is a potential customer, right? You don't want to annoy them. And worse than annoying them is them getting annoyed and then telling 2 friends and telling 2 friends. And so now suddenly this one item that was $20 that you could have just gone, yeah, fine, here, whatever, is cost you, that. So, but yeah.
Let's transition a little bit into best practices, because that's
Cool.
something I'm pretty passionate about, and I know you are as well. I think that's your kind of key role from an operations standpoint at Nedap, is basically making sure that our customers are successful because we're going to do best practices. And let me categorize this a little bit. Let's talk about, first off, if RFID consists of a tag and a reader, let's just talk about the tag first. So if you are going to go and walk through with one of your customers, hey, tagging, what types of tags should you use? What kind of standards should you look at? Do we tag it in the store? Do we tag it in the DC? Do we tag it upstream in the supply chain? Just walk us through any kind of a best practices that you've come across in terms of your experience doing this.
Okay. So yeah. So like you said, operations is the group that, I kind of manage, if you will. And in terms of the tags, we Nedap, we don't do tagging. That's not our thing. We have amazing partners that do that stuff for us. So the first thing we do, though, in terms of like a kind of a kickoff, looking at what do you have if you're brand new and you're starting. Okay, it's optimal, I think, if you're starting at the DC level. So if you can give yourself that, I think the general rule of thumb is about 6 months or so to kind of cycle through. So if you start tagging your product in the DC and start getting that product into the store, and then you start having that changeover with what isn't tagged to what is tagged. That's generally, we're doing an implementation now with a retailer, and that was what they did. They spent about 6 months kind of starting in the DC and going through it to kind of get all of that product out. And it was hugely helpful. It makes more sense. Years ago, it used to be like what we would call a tagging party. So you'd pick a few stores, your kickoff stores, which is still, I think, maybe depending on the size of your retailer or depending upon, what your systems are in the DC, what your practices are within the DC, you might want to do that, have a tagging party where you literally are tagging, a couple of stores at a time. And to me, that sounds as terrible as a physical inventory. Now, to be honest,
it's worse.
It's worse, and I think that opens up your can of human error, right? And obviously, we're using a technology. We want to rely on the technology. So why would we go ahead and introduce something that could, with all of this potential human mistakes? So I think starting the tagging in the DC, going through it that way, getting everything properly tagged, and then and then while you're doing that, you're starting your big kickoff plan. How are we going to do this? Understanding your roadmap and that sort of thing.
Okay. So some of the big retailers out there, and I'll just name a few of them because they've gone pretty public, Walmart and Nordstrom's and folks like that, are asking for suppliers to tag it at source. So when it comes off the manufacturing line, put the tag on there. So that's coming into the distribution centers. Is that something that you would support as well?
100%. Yeah. I mean, I just think that for us, generally, a lot of the closed loop retailers, it's an easier start with RFID, right? It's your product, you make it and that kind of thing. You make it, you can tag it, you have control over it. So that's great. For the bigger chains like the Nordstroms, the Walmarts that are, getting in all sorts of vendors, suppliers, it does become more tricky. But I do think that the future is RFID. The future is in the data. So it just doesn't make any sense for retailers not to be doing it. And I do, like you mentioned, I do know that Nordstrom's is like, I don't know if it's a requirement or if it's just highly encouraged at this point, but you can tell that's where they're headed. And we would 100%. It makes our job once we come in so much easier.
Yeah, there's obviously pros and cons. Let me tell you the con of that. The con of that is from the time. Let's just say a major retailer has 5,000 suppliers that they deal with. And those suppliers are making a total of 40,000 items. That means each one of those items have to be tagged correctly, et cetera. And the amount of lead time you have to provide those suppliers to make sure they're choosing the right tag. We recommend the Auburn ARC spec to make sure that they're GS1 encoded correctly, to make sure all these other kind of things, and they're doing it consistently, that once they start tagging or have a tag product come into the store, it can't stop. Otherwise, you're going to have the same kind of problems. That does take a long time. That could take up to a year before the time you communicate till stuff comes in tagged. So the DC tagging is not a bad option, but I think directionally, most people are saying tag it at source because of what you said, which is the supply chain benefits of knowing it just left that manufacturer and it's on the way here and taking advantage of that, right?
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, you're right. The lead time in retail anyway is, it's a year and a half, 2 years at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So, and that's the whole thing about RFID and about implementing our solution. And when we hire new people, like this is part of the conversation with them. They're like, "Oh my gosh, why doesn't everybody just?" It's like, because this isn't just turning on a dime, right? This is a submarine. This is like slowly. It's not just about hey, this is great. This is going to bring us huge benefits. It's going to be a benefit to our customers. Let's do it. Okay. It's going to take a year and a half. It's a long process, especially to do it right. It's a long process.
Yeah. Do you know of any manufacturer out there that doesn't put a UPC barcode on their product these days?
Yeah, no.
Well, that's where it's going, right? Eventually, and I think it's bigger than apparel because you see people like Dick's Sporting Goods getting involved. You see electronics companies being involved. You have a big retailer like Walmart who's basically looking for lots of general merchandise to be tagged. It's eventually going to be the new UPC for some. I don't think it'll be for all categories. I think there's certain categories. Like I don't see the day we'll ever put an RFID tag on a watermelon. I just don't see it happening. But for a lot of the categories that make sense, that will become the new UPC. So I think the retailers who are asking for that are trying to set a precedent that says we're going to have one way of doing this. It's going to be the new UPC for these kind of product categories. So, and Jonathan Aiken from Avery Dennis just texted me and says, if you make it optional, it'll become like the metric system versus the US system. And we'll have these two kind of things that we have to fight back and forth. Well, I hope you enjoyed that part one of our discussion with Elena at Nedap. Join us next time as we get back together to finish up and wrap up our conversation with part two of our discussion with Elena. See you then.